The hush before heaven speaks. My dear child, there comes a moment in every life when the world gets too loud and the soul grows too tired to keep dancing to the noise. They won't tell you this in the morning news. You won't hear it in the chatter of social media, but somewhere deep inside, you know it. There's power in the hush. Not just any hush, but the sacred stillness that comes before God speaks. Sometimes, the greatest sermons aren't preached in pulpits, but whispered in the quiet corners of your soul. That's where God waits, not in the crowd, not in the chaos, but in the hush, where your breath slows down, where your hands unclench, where your spirit finally exhales. You've been running from pain, from memory, from yourself, trying to fix, force, control, predict. But beloved, God doesn't move on demand. He moves when hearts are still enough to listen. He is the voice that doesn't shout over your storm, but invites you to step out of it, to sit beside him in silence, to say nothing, to simply be. Be still, he says, and know that I am God. But stillness is not easy in this world, is it? They taught you to hustle, to climb, to keep achieving, proving, pushing. But now, your spirit's tired of performing. Your soul longs for permission to lay it all down and listen. So listen, not with your ears, but with your heart. In the hush, he tells you who you really are, not what they called you, not what you failed at, not the version of you the world has edited and filtered. No, in the silence, God whispers, "You are mine. You are loved. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. I've been here, waiting for you to get still." Sometimes God holds back his words, not to punish you, but to protect what he's planting in you. Because noise can't grow roots, but stillness can. And in that hush, he begins to drop divine seeds of clarity, of peace, of identity, of purpose. This isn't just rest, child. This is holy ground. This is where heaven leans in, where angels hold their breath, because the Creator is about to speak directly to you. But you must be still, not just with your body, but with your mind, your worries, your will, still enough to hear that small, still voice that has never left you. Don't fear the silence. God doesn't rush. He reigns. God is not in a hurry. He is not wringing his hands. He is not pacing the floors of heaven. He reigns, calm, still, and sovereign. We live in a world that runs, fast, fierce, frantic. We worship the clock. We pray in panic. We think if it doesn't happen now, it won't happen at all. But child, God doesn't follow your calendar. He follows his own rhythm. And that rhythm is eternal, unshaken, unrushed. You think he's late, but heaven sees you right on time. You're measuring by seconds, but God is working in seasons. He doesn't just bless what you're doing, he blesses who you're becoming. Because when you pray, God begins to move, not just on the outside, but on the inside. You ask for quick answers. He builds quiet endurance. You want doors to open. He wants your heart to heal before you walk through them. Wait, he says, not to deny you, but to develop you. Because rushed blessings can rot, but ripened ones, oh, they glow with glory. So don't curse the delay. Don't rush what was meant to mature. Your destiny is not behind. It's being woven in silence, stitched with patience, laced with grace. You think nothing is happening, but child, everything is. He's lining up people you haven't met yet, preparing places your feet haven't touched, softening hearts that once resisted you. And in the meantime, he's softening you too. You see, when God reigns, he's not racing. He's reigning in wisdom, ruling in peace, resting in power. No emergency shakes his throne. No delay detours his will. He holds time like water in his hands. He bends it, shapes it, and when the moment is ripe, he releases it. So trust this. God is never in a rush, but he is always right on time. Not your time, his. And when his time arrives, no force in hell, no man on earth, no mistake in your past can stop what he has ordained. So breathe, be still, and let the delay teach you what the miracle cannot. That faith isn't proven in the answer. It's proven in the wait. The power hidden in silence. It is in the hush, not the hurricane, where God reshapes the soul. We often overlook silence. We treat it like a void, like something's wrong if no one's talking, if the heavens feel quiet, if the world sits still. But let me tell you, child, silence is not the absence of activity. It is the womb of transformation. Before the world was formed, before God said, "Let there be light," there was silence, sacred, thick, pregnant with promise. And today, that same silence, that same divine pause covers your life like a cloak. Don't rush it. Don't fear it. There is power hidden in it. Because in silence, God clears the noise of what others said and starts to echo what he says. He begins to unearth the lies you believed since childhood, lies that said you were unworthy, too broken, too late. And in the holy hush, he rewrites your name, chosen, loved, enough. But oh, how uncomfortable it is, isn't it? You sit in a quiet room, and your thoughts scream. You check your phone, open the fridge, scroll through strangers' lives, trying to escape the sound of your own soul. But beloved, hear this. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers that noise would never allow you to hear. You want clarity? Get still. You want peace? Get quiet. You want healing? Let the silence speak. Because silence is a mirror. It shows you where your faith is fragile, where your trust has holes, where your joy leaks out. But it also shows you this. You are stronger than you think, softer than you let on, and holier than the world ever told you. In silence, you remember that your worth is not in your work, that your power is not in your posts, that your identity is not in your image. It's in God, and God meets you in the quiet. Even Jesus went away to lonely places to pray in silence, to recharge in the stillness, to hear the Father without distraction. If he needed it, so do you. Because the devil uses noise, but God uses stillness. The enemy will crowd your day with urgency, so you forget to listen. But God will remove the noise, so he can restore your soul. You've been begging for answers, but God has been inviting you into silence. Not to punish, but to protect, to cover you, to cradle you, to hold your spirit while it heals. You are not forgotten. You cried last night, didn't you? In the dark where no one saw, in the silence where no one came. But child, you were never unseen, and you were never alone. There are moments, quiet ones, where you wonder if heaven went silent because you weren't worthy of sound. You pray, but the answers feel like echoes. You wait, but the time stretches too long. You believe, but your heart breaks anyway. And in those moments, you begin to ask the question that's too heavy to say out loud. God, did you forget me? Let me stop you there, child. Look at me with your soul, not your eyes. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not a face in the crowd or a voice lost in the wind. You are written, engraved on the palm of his hand. Can a mother forget her child? He says. Even if she does, I will not forget you. You don't see the movement because it's happening beneath the soil. God does his deepest work in the dark, in the hidden places, in the midnight of your confusion and the early morning of your aching. You think he's ignoring you, but he's actually protecting you from doors not meant to open, from people not meant to stay, from blessings not yet ready. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on heaven's time, and heaven does not lose track of what it loves. There are things you outgrew in silence that noise would have convinced you to keep. There are chains that broke while you thought you were being ignored. But child, God was working in the walls, in the background, in the places you couldn't see but would one day thank him for. He has never overlooked you. He has never stopped watching. Even in your worst hour, he was still counting the hairs on your head. Even when you walked away, he never took his eyes off you. Even when you doubted, he believed in your comeback. That's the kind of God he is, a God of remembrance, a God of return, a God of resurrection. You think it's over, but it's only paused. You think you're stuck, but you're being still. You think he's absent, but he's actually closest when the world grows quiet and your heart grows tired. Beloved, if you only knew what he's been protecting you from, you'd shout in the hallway even before the door opens. He didn't forget you. He's been forming you. And when the time is right, when your soul is ready, when your roots are deep, he'll call you forward with one divine whisper. Now. But until then, hold on. Rest in this truth, becoming in the shadows. Even the trees don't force fruit. They bloom in silence. They grow in shadows. And yet, they still rise. We think becoming must be loud, that growth must be visible, measured in likes and claps and praise. But child, the holiest growth happens in the shadows. You are not behind. You are just becoming. Quietly, sacredly, slowly. Not everyone can see it, but heaven can. You see, the shadows aren't punishment. They are protection, not rejection, but refinement. Because everything mighty was once hidden. Diamonds form in the dark, roots grow underground, wombs carry miracles where no eye can see, and you are no different. Don't be ashamed of your hidden seasons. They are holy. They are divine. They are yours. God often hides what He is healing, covers what He is shaping, protects what He is preparing. He's not hiding you to hurt you. He's hiding you to build you. You've been asking, when will they see me? But beloved, the real question is, who am I becoming while no one's watching? Because becoming is not about being seen. It's about being made whole. It's in the shadows where you unlearn what the world taught you, that your worth is in your work, that your value is in your visibility. No, child, your worth is in your being, and your being is blooming in the dark. You are learning how to breathe again, how to believe again, how to be gentle with yourself after years of breaking for everyone else, and no one claps for that. No one sees the quiet victories, the nights you didn't give up, the mornings you got out of bed when everything in you said, stay. But God saw, God knew, and God is not unjust. He remembers. So while the world scrolls past, God leans in. While others overlook, heaven is recording. Every tear, every prayer, every time you whispered, I trust you, in the dark. You are not less than. You are not delayed. You are not lost. You are in the sacred shadows, where purpose is purified, where motives are made clean, where calling is carved in the quiet. Even Jesus had 30 years in the shadows for 3 years in the spotlight. And in those hidden years, He became. So will you. You're not failing. You're forming. You're not falling apart. God is not your clock. God is not your alarm, not your deadline, not the ticking echo on your wall. He is eternal, and eternity does not rush. You keep checking the time, watching the months pass, counting the days between your prayers and the answers. You feel behind, late, left out. But beloved, God is not your clock. He is your creator, and the creator moves not with panic, but with purpose. You are not on delay. You are on divine design. This world teaches you that faster is better, that if it doesn't happen now, it's gone. But God, He is the God of slow miracles and sudden breakthroughs. Sometimes He waits not because He's punishing you, but because He's protecting something in you. There are things you prayed for that would have crushed you if He gave them too soon. So He waits. He watches. He prepares the blessing and the soul that must carry it. You think He forgot? But child, He's just weaving a story too holy to be rushed. Like a master composer, He's writing your life in symphony, and some of the sweetest notes are played in rests. Don't confuse silence with neglect, and don't confuse timing with truth. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not yours. What God promised still lives, still breathes, still waits for your readiness more than your restlessness. You think you're running out of time, but God is the author of time. He can redeem what you lost, restore what you missed, and revive what you buried. He is not intimidated by your age. He is not worried about your delay. He sees the whole map while you only see the mile in front of you. He knows what doors must stay closed, because opening them too early would expose you to storms you weren't made to walk through yet. Sometimes God delays you to develop you, because a calling that outruns your character will collapse, and a blessing too soon becomes a burden. You say, "Lord, why not now?" And He replies, "Because I love you too much to let it come before you're ready." Oh, the power in waiting. You're learning to trust without the timestamp, to believe without the schedule, to rest even when the calendar says you should have arrived by now. You haven't missed it. You haven't lost it. You are right on time for what heaven has written. Delay is not denial, and slow is not stuck. It's sacred preparation. It's soul-deep construction. It's God moving pieces you can't even see. So stop measuring your life by someone else's milestones. You are not a machine. You are a miracle, and miracles take time. God is not your clock. He is your king. And kings move with wisdom, not with worry. So breathe, beloved. Put down the calendar and lift up your faith. Because the whisper that builds kings. When you get still, God doesn't just soothe you. He summons you. He speaks not to your fear, but to your future. There are whispers that don't just comfort. They call you higher. Whispers that enter your bones like sacred thunder wrapped in silk. You've been waiting for a sign, for a crowd, for a voice from the clouds. But child, God doesn't always crown kings with fanfare. Sometimes He does it in the quiet, where only you can hear. He says, "You are chosen, you are called, you are mine, and you were made for more." Not made for shame, not made to shrink, not made to stay small so others stay comfortable. No, you were shaped by storms and softened by silence to carry glory on your shoulders. You're not just passing through life, you're being positioned to lead in it. But leadership doesn't begin in the spotlight. It begins in the secret place, where God lays His hand on you before the world ever applauds you. It begins with a whisper, a gentle call in the dark. Come higher, child. Come deeper. Come walk with me. Because God doesn't build kings in palaces. He builds them in the wilderness, in caves, in fields where no one's watching, in quiet rooms filled with silent surrender. He builds kings in ordinary places, where you're folding laundry, driving to work, fighting battles no one knows about. He builds queens in broken spaces, where the tears flow in the night. And you rise anyway, grace in your spine, fire in your faith. You don't need a crown on your head to be royalty in His kingdom. What you need is a yes in your spirit and a heart that still believes after the world told you to give up. You've been anointed in private. Now He's preparing to use you in power. But don't chase the throne, chase His voice. Because kings who chase crowns fall fast, but those who chase God are seated in unshakable places. You are not waiting to become powerful. You are already powerful, because the one who called you has already equipped you. All that you've endured, all that you've suffered, was not a detour, it was divine training. He's been teaching you to carry weight without making noise, to walk with purpose, even when no one claps. He's been growing your spirit in the dark, so you'll shine without arrogance when the light finally finds you. The whisper is still speaking, the call is still active, and you, yes, you, are still God's choice. So stand tall, child, straighten your crown. Walk forward in silence if you must, but walk like a king, walk like a queen, walk like someone who's been whispered to by the divine. For the whisper builds what the world cannot, and God still speaks greatness in quiet rooms to listening hearts. Divine downloads in darkness. God does His finest work in the dark, not in spotlights, but in shadows. Not in applause, but in silence so deep it almost sings. There are revelations that don't come in daylight. There are answers that only unfold under midnight skies. And there are truths that must be whispered when the rest of the world is asleep. You've been there, eyes wide open at 2 a.m., the weight of unanswered prayers pressing on your chest like a quiet thunder. You ask, God, where are you? But child, that's when he's closest. You think nothing is happening in the dark, but it is in darkness that roots dig deep. It is in darkness that vision is planted. And it is in darkness that God releases downloads straight to your spirit, not to your phone, not through your feed, but to the secret place inside you that only He has access to. You're not crazy for hearing Him there. You're not weak for crying there. You are holy in your vulnerability, sacred in your stillness. Because darkness isn't always punishment. Sometimes it's privacy. He covers you not to confuse you, but to complete you in a way only the darkness can. God speaks in strange places, a burning bush, a desert wind, a prison cell, a stormy sea. And yes, even in the dead of night, when your faith feels thin and your hope feels tired. That's where He drops it, the divine idea, the revelation, the whisper that breaks your fear in half. He speaks to the version of you that you don't post about, the you that doubts, the you that wants to give up, the you that's fighting battles in secret. And to that you, He says, you are not finished. You are not broken. You are on holy ground, even in the dark. Because the darkness isn't the end, it's the in-between. It's the cocoon before the wings, the soil before the bloom, the night before the morning glory. You don't have to see it all to believe it. You just have to stay open, still, soft, surrendered. The divine download comes, not to the noisy, but to the one who dares to listen when it's just them and the silence. You may not be able to explain it, but you'll feel it. Peace when there should be panic, clarity when there should be confusion, direction where there used to be only delay. That's how heaven moves, quietly, completely, faithfully. He's not trying to impress you, He's trying to imprint you with something eternal. So treasure the darkness, don't rush it. It holds more than you think. It's not just where your pain met you, it's where your power was planted. And when the sun rises again, you'll know, you'll walk different, you'll speak different. You'll carry a revelation that didn't come from textbooks or titles, but from rise because you listened. You listened in the dark. You stayed in the stillness. And now, child, it is time to rise. Not everyone heard what you heard. Not everyone stayed when you stayed. They moved on, you remained. They talked louder. You grew quieter. And in that silence, God began something sacred. Not with fire from the sky, but with a whisper that shook your bones. You didn't rise out of applause. You rose out of revelation because you listened when your soul was breaking. And something in the silence told you, you are not done yet. You see, rising isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a trembling breath, a quiet step, a whispered yes after years of no. You rise when you forgive what never said sorry. You rise when you breathe, even when grief sits beside you like a ghost. You rise when the light hasn't fully broken through, but you walk toward it anyway. Child, you didn't just survive, you transformed. You allowed stillness to become your sanctuary, darkness to become your classroom, and silence to become your sermon. Now, there's something in your stride, not arrogance, but anointing, not noise, but knowing. because what the world didn't see was you on your knees in the night. What they didn't hear was the sound of your breaking, becoming your birthing. What they never noticed was the day you decided to live again, even when nothing had changed but your faith. And now, it's your season. You're not rising empty, you're rising full, full of wisdom, full of grace, full of a fire that didn't come from fame, but from furnaces the world never knew you walked through. You're carrying something now, not a burden, but a blessing, not a scar, but a seal. You've been marked by the silence, and heaven recognizes what's on you. That's why you walk different now. That's why peace clings to your shadow. That's why your voice, though soft, carries weight. Because when God builds you in the dark, He reveals you in the light, not to show off your strength, but to show off His faithfulness. You didn't make it here by force. You made it by surrender, by stillness, by trust, by listening. And now the whisper becomes a roar, not because you got louder, but because your presence is louder than your words. Now the ones who watched you suffer will see you soar, not in pride, but in purpose. You are rising because you heard Him say, "It's time." And when God says rise, even graves release their grip. You listened, you waited, you believed. Now, rise, child, with head high and soul grounded, with gentle steps and unshakable resolve. A letter from heaven. You've come this far, not because the road was easy, but because the whisper kept calling your name. Beloved child, heaven saw every step, not just the ones you danced through, but the ones you crawled, the ones soaked in tears, the ones nobody applauded. Still, you kept going. This journey was not about arrival. It was about awakening. You thought you needed more time, more strength, more clarity, but all you really needed was to get still enough to hear God speak again. And now, look at you, carrying light in places that once held loss, carrying grace in the gaps that once held guilt. You didn't just survive, you softened, you listened, you grew. So take a breath, right here, right now. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are right on time for what heaven still plans to do through you. You are enough, you are mine, and I am not done with you yet. God. Let those words settle in your bones. Let them echo through the halls of your heart. You've heard the whisper. You've walked the silence. Now go forward, not with fear, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows. God still speaks. And more than that, He still speaks to you. If this message whispered to something deep in your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's sitting in their own silence. Comment below, what did God whisper to you in the stillness? Subscribe for more spoken soul food, poetry, power, and divine perspective. And if it touched you, like it, so this word can reach more hearts. You don't know who's waiting for a word like this. You don't know who's praying for a sign that they are not forgotten. Be the messenger. Be the miracle. Be the one who helps someone else rise because they listened.